Hundreds of pro-Palestine protesters took over one of Britain's largest shopping centres in London.
Breaking. On December the 21st, Britain's largest shopping centre became a war zone. 890 protesters stormed Westfield Stratford during the peak of Christmas shopping. £2.8 million in revenue, gone in 3 hours. 17 stores forced to shut down. Parents grabbed their children and ran. This wasn't a peaceful demonstration. Security footage shows coordinated teams blocking escalators, chanting religious slogans and waving flags of organisations banned under UK terrorism laws. If you care about what's really happening in Britain, hit subscribe right now. The mainstream media buried this story in 48 hours. This channel won't let that happen. At 12:40 p.m, the main entrance was breached. Within 13 minutes, from the river to the sea, chants echoed through the atrium where families were buying Christmas gifts. By 1:05 p.m, insignia of a proscribed group appeared on banners throughout the mall. Security guards were overwhelmed. Metropolitan Police arrived but held back from intervention. The official justification? Avoiding escalation and potential casualties. But here's the truth they're hiding. While police stood down at Stratford, protesters with British flags gathered across London demanding answers. Why is one group allowed to occupy private property while we're arrested for peaceful assembly? Nigel Farage called it two-tier policing. One rulebook for some, another for everyone else. The timing wasn't random. Intelligence sources had flagged potential disruptions weeks before Christmas. Retail security chiefs sent formal warnings to the Home Office. Encrypted communications showed coordination across multiple cities. Every red flag was documented and escalated. The government ignored them all. Then social media exploded. A TikTok video of a British citizen confronting authorities hit 7.3 million views in 4 hours. You've opened our borders to people who are raping their way through our towns. Women are being assaulted daily across every city. You care more for Afghans, Somalis, Eritreans, Syrians than British children. You're housing men you know nothing about, and we're paying for it. Your cowardice has resulted in children being hurt. No one trusts you anymore. Get them out of those hotels. Stop the boats. Within 24 hours, counter-protests erupted in 12 British cities. Petrol bombs were thrown at police vans. Officers retreated behind riot shields. This wasn't organised by any political party. It was spontaneous combustion, fuelled by years of suppressed frustration. But the Stratford occupation revealed something far more dangerous than one chaotic Saturday. It exposed selective enforcement based on political calculation rather than legal principle. In 53 seconds, the situation escalated from occupation to riot. Fireworks purchased for Christmas were weaponised. Protesters launched pyrotechnics directly at police lines. Officers surrounded by crowds had two choices: use force or retreat. They chose retreat. 4 additional vans arrived. Riot shields deployed. But no arrests were made during peak violence. The Met later claimed they were prioritising public safety through de-escalation. Translation: they were paralysed by political fear. The Met released a statement. Claims of two-tier policing are baseless fabrications. But the British public has eyes. They've watched this pattern repeat for years. Because this isn't the first time British authorities chose political sensitivity over protecting victims. Let's talk about Rotherham. Between 1997 and 2013, at least 1,400 girls, some as young as 11, were systematically groomed, trafficked, and raped by organised networks. Police received reports, social workers documented abuse, victims came forward repeatedly. Nothing happened. Why? A 2014 inquiry found that authorities feared being perceived as racist. Staff were nervous about investigating certain communities, so they did nothing. For 16 years. Rochdale followed the same pattern. Telford, Derby, Oxford. Across Britain, the same institutional cowardice allowed predators to operate with impunity. Professor Alexis Jay, who led the Rotherham inquiry, wrote, "Several staff described their nervousness about identifying the ethnic origins of perpetrators for fear of being thought racist. That same pathology, fear of accusation trumping duty to protect, is exactly what happened at Stratford." Now let's follow the money, because the financial dimension reveals just how inverted Britain's priorities have become. The UK currently spends £6 million per day housing asylum seekers in hotels. That's £2.19 billion annually. 4-star accommodations, 3 meals daily, heating, security, no means testing, no cap on the budget. Meanwhile, the government cut the winter fuel payment, affecting 10 million pensioners. British citizens who worked their entire lives, paid taxes for decades, and rebuilt this nation after World War II are now making impossible choices. Heat the living room or bedroom, eat 3 meals or 2, buy medication or pay the electric bill. Age UK reports over 2 million pensioners live in fuel poverty. While elderly British citizens ration heating, young men who illegally cross the channel are guaranteed warm hotel rooms at taxpayer expense. That's not asylum policy. That's a moral inversion. And it gets worse when you look at veterans. An estimated 13,000 British military veterans are homeless. Men who served in Iraq, Afghanistan, the Falklands. Men who witnessed combat, lost comrades, and carry physical and psychological scars from defending British interests. They sleep in doorways, under bridges. Many suffer from PTSD, traumatic brain injuries, addiction rooted in service trauma. Where are their hotel rooms? Where are their 3 meals? Where is the £6 million per day for their care? A veteran who lost his leg in Helmand Province sleeps rough, while someone who destroyed their passport before crossing the Mediterranean gets a heated room. Britain can find unlimited funds for foreign nationals who broke immigration laws but cannot house the men who defended those laws with their lives. Then there's the violence epidemic nobody wants to acknowledge. The machete has become Britain's urban weapon of choice. NHS England data shows a 42% increase in serious blade injuries requiring emergency surgery over 3 years. Trauma surgeons report treating wounds, deep muscle lacerations, severed tendons, skull fractures, previously only seen in military field hospitals. Teenagers are being hacked down in broad daylight, on high streets, outside schools, in shopping centres. Police claim they lack resources, but the real issue is authorisation. Stop and search policies have been labelled discriminatory. So officers who see suspicious activity are discouraged from intervention because the demographic data might look bad. When law enforcement fears being called racist more than failing murder victims, society fractures. Multiple sources within the Metropolitan Police confirmed standing orders at Stratford. Do not engage unless imminent physical harm is occurring. Prioritise protest flow over property rights. Do not risk wider unrest. Officers had equipment, they had numbers, they had legal authority. What they lacked was political authorisation. Authorisation to clear the atrium. Authorisation to arrest those displaying prescribed symbols. Authorisation to defend public order without fearing disciplinary hearings. When constables are more afraid of Twitter than criminals, you no longer have law enforcement. Senior officers describe the environment as policing by PR. Every tactical decision is filtered through communications teams worried about headlines. Every arrest is analysed for demographic optics. Every enforcement action is delayed pending community liaison consultation. The result? Paralysis. Video evidence from Westfield shows organisational patterns seen in dozens of previous actions. Designated chant leaders coordinating slogans, scouts controlling pedestrian flow, photographers documenting police responses, and perimeter teams blocking security access. This isn't spontaneous protest, it's tactical occupation refined over years, and British intelligence knows exactly who's behind it. Financial trails connect local organisers to prescribed overseas entities. Encrypted communications have been intercepted. The networks are mapped, but prosecutions rarely happen. The government fears political fallout more than the next occupation. Here's what makes this inexcusable. Security services had specific advance warning. Threat assessments in early December flagged coordinated disruptions targeting retail hubs during Christmas. MI5 identified financial transactions. GCHQ intercepted communications containing directives to sabotage the December economy. Multiple intelligence products reached ministerial attention. Recommendations for preventative measures were drafted and submitted. The Prime Minister's office rejected them. Robust action was deemed incompatible with community engagement principles. So instead of preventing the crisis, the government allowed it, then acted surprised when the public reacted with fury. The new Britain has inverted justice. Wave your national flag, risk arrest, chant at a football match, lifetime ban. Post controversial opinions, police visit. But coordinate a mall occupation under a prescribed banner, minimal consequences. Taxpayers watch this double standard repeatedly. And the silent majority, people who work, pay taxes, follow rules, have run out of patience. When ordinary citizens realise laws bind them but not others, that their values are mocked while extremist views are accommodated, that their government fears activists more than respects voters, faith in institutions evaporates. What happened at Stratford wasn't just a protest, it was a message. We can occupy your spaces, we can disrupt your traditions, we can ignore your laws, and your government will not stop us. Here's what you need to do right now, because silence is complicity. This story was buried within 48 hours. The BBC gave it 90 seconds. The Guardian framed it as protest rather than occupation. They're counting on you forgetting. Share this video on every platform. The algorithm suppresses content like this, so every share matters. Hit the like button. It signals to YouTube that people want this information. If you're exhausted by sanitized news that protects the powerful, subscribe right now. We're tracking every development mainstream media ignores, every policy failure they excuse, every double standard they refuse to name. Drop a comment. Do you believe Britain has two-tier policing? Have you witnessed selective enforcement? Let's have an honest conversation, civil but unflinching. The people who occupied Stratford are counting on your silence. They're betting you'll be outraged for 48 hours, then move on. Don't give them that victory. 890 protesters, £2.8 million in lost revenue, 17 shuttered stores, and millions of abandoned British citizens prove we must speak up. Stay informed, stay vocal, and never let them gaslight you into believing what you witnessed didn't happen. Truth matters. Your voice matters more than you think. I'll see you in the next investigation.